All right, so now let's do this puppy, and it looks like this puppy I colored black soot. So I'm going to grab me a little bit of that up here, get my brush on there, and I'm going to give him a little swipe down here on the bottom of his tail. I'm going to make him a little bit darker down here where the boy's holding on to him. And I'm going to wipe off my excess, and I'm just going to use my brush with just water to fill in his tail, and then use my water just to fill in his body here with that little bit I've laid down. And again, I'm wiping my brush off in between. I gave it a little squeeze again, and it's really wet, so I keep dabbing it off. Oops, I colored his glove. Go in here and give that a little push and get that off of there. Okay, we'll grab a little bit more of our black soot and add that up here. Okay, and let's get his face. So let's do right along the bottom of his face, maybe up here by his ear. Got a lot down there, so I'll wipe a little bit off on my brush. And then his snout is going to be a different color, so I'm going to let that dry just a minute. And if you've noticed, I didn't color his shirt or his hat yet, because I colored it with red, and it never fails that the red, if it's wet somewhere, it'll bleed into another section. So I usually wait until last to do the red, just because it always makes a mess when I'm doing it. So that's just easiest for me to remember. So even though on your instructions it's number 5, if you do the red in between, just make sure that it's every place that you want to go next to is dry. So for that I'm going to do aged mahogany. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of aged mahogany, and because I didn't do anything up here, I'm going to lay a little bit on his little earmuff here, and then I'm going to wipe my brush off. I'm just going to use that to color in the rest of that little earmuff. And I'm going to come back after that's dry and add some more. Okay, so I'll wipe my brush off, grab a little bit more of my aged mahogany, and then I want it to be dark down here at the bottom of this earmuff. So I'm going to lay down my little bit of ink on the bottom, wipe off my brush, and use that bit to cover it up. Okay, wipe off again, grab you a little bit more. And I want his hat because he's going to be tipping, he's tipping backwards right here, so I'm going to make it darkest over here. And then I'm just using what I grabbed to pull all the way across over to this other side. So you got it really dark over here, but look how light it ends up over here because I've used up most of my ink. And then I'm going to get that little beanie, that little button on the top of his cap too. Okay, now in between while this layer's drying, I'm going to go down here and work on my puppy because I really want that to dry before I add any more on there. Otherwise it just smears all over the place and bleeds into everything else. So for my puppy, I'm going to give him a little bit more shadow down here at the bottom. So I'm going to get his foot. Maybe his belly a little bit. About the bottom of his leg right here. Okay, and because I didn't put any up here on his head, I'm going to get his snout. And for his snout, I used the frayed burlap on that. So let's grab a little bit of that. Okay, and while that's drying, I'm going to get his collar. And so for his collar, I used walnut stain. And that's what this little thing is here. He's got on a little collar holding his tag. And the actual tag is antique linen, because I wanted it to show up against his little black body. So I made it a different color. Kind of looks like gold. Okay, and then while his hat was drying, or I was coloring the puppy, his hat dried, so I'm going to go up here and I'm going to add a little bit more to this little earmuff. So grab me a little bit of aged mahogany and put it on this side, because I'm kind of liking how this side over here looks. We'll darken this one up just a little bit. And the little puppy's tongue is also aged mahogany. And get that. So all we have left now, I didn't actually color this on his hat, this little fur part. I put some crafty sparkle fluffs on there, and it looks like cotton balls, but it's from Our Craft Lounge. So I didn't paint that, I just left it and then did that later with the Our Craft Lounge sugar. I guess it's called Sugar Crafty Fluff. But we're going to go down here and get the rest of his shirt. So I've got to grab me a little bit of aged mahogany for his shirt, and I'm going to get his sleeve over here first. So I'm going to go right down the side of my little puppy. Then I'm going to get his shirt, and so I'm going to do I want it to be darkest right here where his arm is touching his body. So I'm going to lay down my line right there and underneath the puppy's foot, and then I'm going to wipe off my extra I got on my brush, and I'm going to use that bit I put down to color in the middle. Okay, and for his shirt, I want it to be darkest underneath the bottom of his shirt, underneath of his arm, underneath the puppy. And whoops, I colored that glove. That glove's just getting it today. And then I'm going to use that little bit to spread down onto his shirt. And then I'll come back here in a second and add some more. That got most of that off. Okay, and let's get the back of his sleeve right here. So again, I want the bottom of the sleeve to be darkest, so I'm going to put down my ink at the bottom. And then it's going to be dark where his little scarf touches it too, so I'm going to use a little bit to wipe up underneath that. Then I'm going to use this to color in this part of his shirt. Okay, and then we're going to let that dry for a minute. Alright, so that's dried for a second. So let's grab us a little bit more of my aged mahogany. I'm going to darken it up right here. His shirt a little bit. Okay, and then let's go down and darken up the bottom of his shirt. Grab me a little bit more. And again, I want it to be darkest over here underneath, so I'm going to add a little bit extra on this side of his shirt. And I'm going to work my way over here, using up some of my ink I have on here. And I'm going to wipe off this extra I have. And then just use what I laid down. And wipe off got a little bit on my brush, so let's wipe that extra off. I'm going to bring this down even more. And I think I'll darken up his little sleeve just a little bit right here on the bottom. And again, like his hat, I didn't color this little cuff of his sleeve. I gave that some sparkle fluff so that it's like got some fuzz on it. Looks like fur. But if you wanted, you could color it red, color it brown. Maybe as when his shirt rolls up, it's like flannel inside and it's brown to match his pants. That'd be cute. Okay, well, I'm liking how that shirt's drying, so let's zoom out. So he's looking pretty good. I'm liking how he turned out. So I hope you had fun this month with our watercoloring monthly kit, and I'll hope you join me again next month where we'll be having a different stamp, and have a great day.